Listen to me right now. This is your wake-up call. This is the moment you decide who you are. The moment you stop playing small. The moment you rise up and own your life. But there's something you've got to understand. Something that most people never realize. Nobody cares about your problems. Nobody. Now, I know that might sting a little, but I need you to feel this. I need you to understand that the world isn't built to stop and listen to what's wrong in your life. It's not going to slow down for your struggles. And that's a good thing because it means you don't have to wait for anyone's permission to take control. Too many people waste their lives thinking that if they just talk about their problems enough, someone's going to come along and fix them. They believe that if they tell the right person at the right time in the right way, suddenly everything will change. But life doesn't work that way. When you constantly tell people your problems, you're reinforcing them. You're making them part of your identity. You're training your brain to live in a state of victimhood. You're saying to yourself, I am my struggle. I am my pain. And that is the biggest lie you could ever tell yourself. Listen to me. Problems are real, but they are not you. They are not your destiny. They are not the final chapter of your story. They are just obstacles. And obstacles aren't meant to be talked about. They're meant to be crushed. So let me ask you something. When you tell people your problems, what are you really looking for? Sympathy? Validation? A pat on the back? Let me tell you the truth. You don't need any of that. You don't need someone to confirm your struggle. You need to shift your mindset. You need to stop describing your problems and start attacking them. Because here's the deal. Successful people don't complain. They don't sit around sharing their problems. They don't waste time telling stories of struggle without action. You know what they do? They find solutions. They take massive action. They use every ounce of energy they have to move forward, not to look backward. And that's the secret. The moment you stop telling people your problems is the moment you take back your power. Because guess what happens when you stop talking about your problems? You start talking about solutions. You start looking at your life through a different lens. You start shifting from, why is this happening to me, to what am I going to do about it? And that's when everything changes. Look, I'm not saying you should ignore your challenges. I'm not saying you should pretend that everything is fine when it's not. What I'm saying is that words have power. The more you talk about something, the more it defines you. If you constantly tell people you're struggling, guess what? You stay in struggle mode. If you constantly tell people you're broke, you reinforce that mindset. If you constantly tell people you're lost, you never find your way out. You have to flip the script. You have to start speaking the language of progress. Instead of saying, I don't know what to do, say, I'm figuring it out. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, say, I'm learning. Instead of saying, I'm overwhelmed, say, I'm building strength. Do you feel that shift? That's the difference between people who succeed and people who stay stuck. It's not about pretending life is easy. It's about refusing to let struggle define you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to commit right now. I want you to make a decision that from this moment forward, you will no longer tell people your problems. You will no longer look for sympathy. You will no longer waste time complaining. Instead, you will focus, you will take control, you will put all your energy into finding solutions, into taking action, into building momentum. Because listen, nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to swoop in and make your life better. That's your job. That's your responsibility. And you are more than capable of handling it. You've got to be relentless. You've got to be unshakable. You've got to be the kind of person who rises no matter what. Because life is going to throw challenges at you. That's a fact. But whether those challenges break you or build you, that's your choice. So let's go. Let's get after it. Let's stop talking about what's wrong and start creating what's right. Let's stop waiting for things to change and start making things change. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what happens to you. It's about what you do about it. And I know you've got what it takes. Now get out there and prove it. Listen up. This is the truth most people don't want to hear, but you need to hear it. The world does not care about your problems, not because people are heartless, not because there's no kindness left in the world, but because everybody has their own struggles. Everybody is carrying something. And if you spend your life waiting for someone to come along and care enough to fix things for you, you're going to be waiting forever. Let me tell you something that will set you free. Nobody is responsible for solving your problems except you. That's the reality. That's the hard truth. And the moment you embrace it, everything changes. Because when you stop expecting the world to care, you stop giving away your power. You stop feeling like life owes you something. You stop waiting for someone to see your pain, to understand what you're going through, to reach out a hand and say, I got you. You realize that the only person who can say that to you and mean it every single time is you. Now, I'm not saying people don't have empathy. I'm not saying that you won't have friends, family, or even strangers who listen and offer support. But support and solutions are two different things. And too many people waste their lives mistaking one for the other. They think that if they talk about their problems enough, if they vent enough, if they express how tough life is, then something will change. But it doesn't. Nothing changes until you change. You ever notice how the people who complain the most about their problems never seem to fix them? They're always talking about the same issues, the same struggles, the same setbacks year after year. Why? Because they've made their problems part of their identity. They've convinced themselves that if they just keep sharing their struggles, someone will eventually come and save them. But life doesn't work that way. There's a difference between acknowledging a problem and dwelling on it. If something is wrong, face it. If something needs to change, take action. But don't sit there waiting for someone to care enough to do it for you. That's the trap most people fall into. They want someone else to feel their pain. They want the world to recognize how hard it is for them. But guess what? The world keeps moving. It's not stopping for you. It's not pausing to give you time to figure things out. Life goes on with or without you. And the only way to make sure you're not left behind is to step up and take control. You don't have time to wait. You don't have time to waste energy trying to convince people that your struggle is real. You already know it's real. That's enough. Now, what are you going to do about it? That's the only question that matters. When you stop telling people your problem, something powerful happens. You start focusing on solutions. You start shifting your energy away from frustration and toward action. You stop sitting in the same place, repeating the same story, and you start writing a new one. And that's what separates the people who win from the people who stay stuck. Winners don't need the world to care about their problems because they've already decided that their problems don't define them. They don't waste time looking for sympathy because sympathy doesn't pay bills. Sympathy doesn't build businesses. Sympathy doesn't get you in shape, fix your relationships, or create success. Action does. You know what happens when you stop talking about your problems and start attacking them? You build resilience, you build mental toughness, you stop looking for shortcuts and start looking for real strategies. And suddenly, things start changing. Not because the world gave you a break, but because you decided you weren't going to break. This is your life. You are the only one responsible for it. You are the only one who can fix what's broken. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner you start winning. Every time you talk about your problems, you are reinforcing them. You are making them a part of who you are. You are training your brain to see struggle as your identity. And that is dangerous. Because the more you repeat something, the more your mind believes it. Your mind is always listening, always recording, always shaping your reality based on what you tell it. So when you constantly speak about your problems, you are programming yourself to stay in a state of struggle Think about it. If every day you wake up and tell people, I'm stuck, I'm struggling, nothing is going right for me, what do you think happens? You convince yourself that those words are true. You start to believe that struggle is just who you are, that hardship is your permanent state. And once you believe it, you stop looking for solutions. You stop trying to change. You stop fighting for something better because deep down, you've accepted struggle as your identity. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it can work for you or against you. If you constantly tell yourself that you're in a bad situation, your brain will find ways to prove you right. It will focus on everything that's going wrong. It will filter out the opportunities, the solutions, the possibilities, because it's looking for evidence to support the story you keep telling. And that's the danger of speaking your problems out loud all the time. You are feeding them, strengthening them, giving them power over you. But here's the truth. Your problems are not your identity. Your struggles are not who you are. They are just experiences. They are just challenges. And challenges are meant to be overcome, not carried around like a badge of honor. Yet too many people do exactly that. They become addicted to their struggles. They start defining themselves by what's wrong in their life. They don't even realize it, but deep down, they hold onto their problems because it gives them a sense of identity. You ever met someone who always has a problem? No matter what's happening, they find a reason to complain. They find a reason to struggle. Even when things get better, they create new problems for themselves. Why? Because their identity is wrapped up in being the person who is always going through something. It's become their comfort zone. It's become their normal. And as crazy as it sounds, they don't want to let go of their problems because then they wouldn't know who they are anymore. This is what happens when you constantly tell people your problems. You reinforce the idea that struggle is just a part of you, but it's not. Struggle is temporary. Pain is temporary. Setbacks are temporary, but only if you stop holding on to them, only if you stop feeding them with your words. Instead of telling people your problems, start telling yourself a new story. Instead of saying, I'm stuck, say, I'm finding a way. Instead of saying nothing ever goes right for me, say, I'm creating new opportunities. Instead of saying, life is hard, say, because the words you speak shape your reality. If you keep saying you're struggling, you will keep struggling. But if you start speaking in terms of progress, your brain will start finding ways to make that progress real. Words are powerful. They can build you up or break you down, and the choice is yours. Stop reinforcing the struggle. Stop repeating the same old story. Start shifting your language, and you will start shifting your life. Successful people don't complain. They don't waste time telling people what's wrong in their lives. They don't sit around dwelling on problems, looking for sympathy, or hoping someone else will come and fix things for them. They don't operate that way. Instead, they focus on solutions. They focus on what's next. They take action. Look at the people who are winning in life and business and relationships and health. What do they all have in common? They don't make excuses. They don't stay stuck in the past. They don't allow problems to define them. Do they face challenges? Of course. Do they have obstacles? Absolutely. But they don't waste energy complaining about them, because complaining doesn't change anything. Talking about what's wrong doesn't solve it. What solves it is movement. What solves it is action. What solves it is taking responsibility and doing something about it. You ever notice how the most successful people seem to go through setbacks and come out stronger? How they face adversity and somehow turn it into fuel? That's not an accident. That's a mindset. That's a decision they've made. They've trained themselves to focus on what they can control instead of what they can't. They don't waste time talking about how hard things are. They don't sit around feeling sorry for themselves, because they know that time spent complaining is time wasted. And that's the difference between people who win and people who stay stuck. The people who stay stuck talk about their problems all the time. They tell anyone who will listen about what's going wrong, about why they can't move forward, about why life isn't fair. And the more they talk about it, the deeper they sink into it. They don't even realize that they are making their situation worse by focusing on it. But the people who win, they don't waste energy on what they can't change. They use that energy to build, to grow, to move forward. They take ownership of their circumstances. They don't just sit back and accept defeat. They don't wait for someone else to come in and fix things for them. They look at the situation, they figure out their next move, and they execute. This is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. The people who succeed have just as many challenges as anyone else, maybe even more. But they refuse to let those challenges define them. They refuse to be the person who sits in a cycle of complaining, waiting, hoping, wishing. Instead, they take action. The moment you shift from complaining to problem solving, your whole life changes. Instead of saying, this is so hard, you say, how can I fix this? Instead of saying, I don't know what to do, you say, let me figure it out. Instead of saying, I don't have what I need, you say, how can I make it work with what I've got? Because here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody's coming to fix your problems for you. And that's a good thing, because it means you don't have to wait. It means you don't have to depend on someone else. It means you are in control. Every minute you spend talking about what's wrong is a minute you could have spent working on what's next. Every time you complain about how unfair life is, you are giving away your power. But every time you take action, no matter how small, you are taking it back. That's the mindset of a winner. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to let problems define them. That's the mindset that will change your life. Your words have power. They shape the way you see yourself, the way you see the world, and the way the world responds to you. Every time you speak, you are reinforcing an idea, a belief, a reality. And if the words coming out of your mouth are filled with doubt, fear, and negativity, guess what? That's exactly what you will experience. Think about the way most people talk. They say things like, I'm so tired, I'm so stressed, I can't catch a break, nothing ever works out for me. And then they wonder why their life doesn't change. They wonder why they feel stuck, but it's no mystery. Your words are creating your world. If all you do is speak in terms of problems, then your mind will continue searching for problems. If all you do is focus on what's wrong, your mind will magnify it. That's how the brain works. It finds what you tell it to find. But now imagine flipping that script. Imagine replacing those words with, I am figuring it out, I am in control, I am capable, I am finding a way. Even if you don't fully believe it at first, just saying it shifts something inside of you. It forces your brain to start looking for proof. It forces your subconscious to start aligning with progress instead of struggle. This isn't just positive thinking. This is rewiring your mindset for success. Because what you say out loud, you start to believe. And what you believe, you act on. And what you act on becomes your reality. That's why successful people don't waste words on negativity. They don't speak about what they lack. They speak about what they are building. They don't say, I don't know what to do. They say, I'm figuring it out. They don't say, I'm failing. They say, I'm learning. They don't say I'm stuck. They say I'm on my way. And the difference between these two ways of speaking is the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. Because when you speak the language of progress, your brain starts looking for solutions instead of excuses. Your energy shifts, your confidence grows. You start to see possibilities where before you only saw roadblocks. Most people don't even realize how much their words are holding them back. They speak in limitations, and then they live in limitations. They tell themselves stories about why they can't, and then those stories become their truth. But the moment you change your language, you change your life. The moment you stop reinforcing problems and start reinforcing progress, everything starts to shift. So start paying attention to the way you speak. Start cutting out phrases that keep you small. Start replacing complaints with commitments. Stop saying, I have to, and start saying, I get to. Stop saying I can't and start saying I will. Stop saying I don't know and start saying I'm figuring it out. Because your words are creating your future. And if you want to change your life, you have to start by changing the way you speak about it. Your life is shaped by the way you think, speak, and act. If you keep telling people your problems, you will keep living in them. If you keep waiting for sympathy, you will stay stuck. If you keep reinforcing struggle, you will never break free. But the moment you take ownership, everything changes. The moment you stop seeking validation and start seeking solutions, you take back your power. The moment you change your words, you change your mind. And when you change your mind, you change your life. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more feeding the struggle. It's time to rise, take control, and move forward.